Good evening.
Good evening.
Assalamu alaikum. Peace be upon you all. My name is Candace Abdul-Tawwab, and I am the Executive Director of Mississippi for a Just World, a human rights advocacy organization founded by Palestinian-American Imad Alter. I stand before you as the child of parents born into segregation, who were blessed with the opportunity to pursue education and realize success. I am the grandchild of domestics and sharecroppers, a dignified people who maintain an unwavering prayer for true liberation. I am a descendant of the enslaved, yet unconquerable. My ancestral history is not uncommon. It is the shared experience of so many of us in this room. Because of that history, I, like you, carry within me the ability to recognize oppression, brutality, and subjugation. It is this deep awareness, woven throughout our very DNA, that allows us to recognize injustice, whether it manifests in our communities, within our nation, or across the globe. It is within our collective memory to identify injustice, to resist domination, and to demand uncompromising liberation. We are the descendants of those who refuse to bow. You heard me? We are the descendants of those who recognize that justice does not advance on its own. It manifests when we demand it. Our ancestors showed us that neither apathy, nor silence, nor fear is an option. And that freedom anywhere is tied to freedom everywhere. Today, as we witness the attempted dismantling of democracy, both here and abroad, the attempted rescinding of our voting rights, and ultimately our citizenship in this country, the denial of the basic human right to food by stalling SNAP benefits for a population that is already struggling to survive, and the obstruction of access to clean water here in our beloved city of Jackson, Mississippi. As we witness the annihilation of humanity by way of a genocide taking place in Palestine, in which over 680,000 people, including over 200,000 children, have been slaughtered within the past 2 years. We are called once again to remember who we are and what will we allow. It is the mission for Mississippi for a Just World to carry the blueprint our ancestors left us, the blueprint of Ida B. Wells, the blueprint of Fannie Lou Hamer. I can't hear you. The blueprint of Medgar Evers, the blueprint of Vernon Dahmer, the blueprint of Chokwe Lumumba. Free the land by any means possible. These are not just names in history books. They are our heroes, our freedom fighters, the bold and courageous protectors of humanity and human dignity. Mississippi for a Just World intends to continue that legacy, building a framework for dismantling injustice and oppression from Mississippi to Palestine, to Sudan, to Haiti, and to the Congo, and everywhere in between. to defeat global suffering and oppression, demonstrating that our struggles for freedom are connected across borders, across cultures, and across generations. We are bound by the same demand that every human being deserves dignity, safety, and liberation. So today, we honor the past by continuing its unfinished work, to build a just world by standing always on the side of humanity. If you ever wondered what you would have done during the long reign of domestic terrorism, legalized oppression, and dehumanizing apartheid, known as Jim Crow, the question I have for you is, what are you doing right now? I welcome you all this evening as we prepare to hear the esteemed scholar, Dr. Marc Lamont Hill, and I challenge you all in this room, all who attend the historic Tougaloo College, the training ground of Mississippi's social justice activists, to continue the fight that our ancestors began. Please help me bring to the stage a young woman who is dear to my heart. She embodies this call to action. She is a beloved Mississippi for a Just World Fellow. Ashley Welchland. She is a senior political science major at Tougaloo, and she will be introducing and welcoming Dr. Marc Lamont Hill on behalf of the student body. Thank you.
Dr. Marc Lamont Hill. Dr. Marc Lamont Hill is one of the leading intellectual voices of the country. He is currently the host of BET News, Al Jazeera Upfront, and the Coffee and Books podcast. An award-winning journalist, Dr. Hill has received numerous prestigious awards from the National Association of Black Journalists, GLAAD, the International Academy of Visual Arts and Sciences, and Ebony Magazine's named him one of America's 100 most influential Black leaders. I think that deserves a round of applause. Since his youth in Philadelphia, Dr. Hill has been a social justice activist and organizer. He continued his work in solidarity for human rights, working on campaigns to end the death penalty, abolish prisons, and release numerous political prisoners. He is a founder and director of the People Education Center in Philadelphia, as well as the owner of Uncle Bobby's Coffee and Books. Dr. Hill holds a PhD from the University of Pennsylvania. He is a presidential professor of anthropology and urban education at the City University of New York Graduate Center. Before that, he held positions as professor of African American Studies, Education, and held the Steve Charles Chair in Media, Sites, and Sources. His current research and writing explores the relationship between race, culture, politics, and education in the United States and the Middle East. Dr. Hill is the author of 8 books, including Except for Palestine, The Limits of Progressive Politics. When being an activist, there may come a time when your activism causes you to lose something. For Dr. Hill, this was his position at CNN after he advocated for Palestine at the United Nations. However, that did not stop him. In his speech, he challenged us to embrace radical hope rather than optimism. He explained that radical hope is the belief that despite the odds and considerable measures against justice and peace, we can still prevail. Radical hope stood out to me because when I had the opportunity to go to Israel and Palestine in 2022, one of the first things our guide told us was this quote: "Hope is something that we do." And that set the tone for the trip. As a student of the illustrious Tougaloo College and as your peer, I encourage you to live in Tougaloo's legacy, be loud in your activism, and disrupt the unjust norms. With that being said, please help me welcome Dr. Marc Lamont Hill to the stage.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That's one of the best intros I've done. Thank you so much. Get it everybody around the applause. A brilliant young woman who comes out of a beautiful tradition. This is a beautiful tradition. Tougaloo College. I'm so happy to be here with you this evening. I'm so happy to share space and time with you. I've been with y'all all day. Y'all get y'all money's worth. Told me I gotta fold up the tables when I leave here tonight. But every minute has been worth it. Honest to God, it has been. I had the privilege of sitting in a classroom or doing a class visit with students who are currently enrolled here as well as high school students. So much of our talk in this country is about the young people and what about our children, safety for our children, protecting our children. But so often those sentiments are contradicted by how we treat our children. And so to see a place that is not only spotlighting and highlighting the young people, but bringing them to the forefront, having them ask the questions, having them frame the conversation, having their interests foregrounded is beautiful and powerful and necessary, and it makes me so proud to be a part of this community for only 14. So thank you for welcoming me in. Thank you for having me. And thank you for organizing an event that isn't about how to get rich. It's not how to get over, not how to get ahead, but how to get justice. And this is a sacred space, not just the room we're in, not just the campus we're on, although both of those things are true, but the tradition out of which these buildings and these institutions emerge. I'm not talking about the actual physical structure. That's less important than the people who fought and struggled for our liberation. These laws that we benefit from, these advances that we enjoy are co-signed and they're written in the blood of our ancestors who believed that we were worth struggling for, who believed we were worth sacrificing for, who believed that we were worth even dying for. But the point of the series and my point tonight isn't to just think about the past. It's to remind y'all that the work remains unfinished. We still got a lot of work to do. When my sister Candace said, you know, the measure of what you would have done, she said it more eloquently than me. She went to the esteemed Lincoln University. She understands it. She said, the measure of what you would have did back then is evidenced by what you're doing right now. The world is on fire. The world is on fire. You walk through cities like Chicago or Detroit, Atlanta, Washington, D.C., Philadelphia, Los Angeles, Houston, Dallas, New Orleans, it don't matter. What do you see? You see mass unemployment. You see economic deprivation. The richest empire in human history, children go to bed hungry every single night. got people dying from preventable diseases. And in a nation that says that we have to invest, our money goes into prisons and not into schools.
Yeah.
Budgets are moral documents. They tell you where your values are. They tell you what you care about in every single day in this country, which presents itself as the steward of democracy, as the vanguard of freedom. We are mired in unfreedom. But that ain't new to us. That ain't new to us as black folk. We done spend a whole lot of time in this country watching celebrations of freedom against the backdrop of mass unfreedom. And I believe that that gives us a certain kind of maturity, a certain kind of insight, a certain kind of vantage point from which to examine what's going on now, but also a certain kind of insight on how to fix it. In other words, black folk got something to teach America about how to get free. That's our tradition. So in a little bit of time that I have with y'all, I want to talk just a little bit about maybe what our tradition can teach. This country, especially at a moment where times are so hard, people are struggling. Military is occupying our cities. Our babies remain hungry. We work every day and the month lasts longer than our money. What do we do? 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 Oh, I think we have to begin with the imagination. We have to begin with the imagination. You see, we want to get free, we want to enjoy freedom, we want to embrace freedom, but to do those things, we first have to imagine freedom. At a world, or at a moment in the world's history where it seems like we can't get no more freedom we are right now, we got to imagine more expansive, thicker forms of freedom. At a time where it seems like the world is so unjust, we got to imagine a more beautiful, robust vision of freedom. That's the tradition we come out of. We begin with the radical imagination. What is the radical imagination? The radical imagination is a belief that the world can be different. Radical is just a fancy word to say get at the root. It means that we got to look at the world as it is, but understand that it don't got to be that way, even if it looks like it has to be that way. We are the children and grandchildren and great-great-grandchildren of enslaved Africans in a country that is organized around the exploitation of our labor. America is built on slavery, and there was a moment where we thought that America couldn't be anything other than a slave-holding nation. The economy was organized around it. The culture was organized around it. Our rights and traditions were organized around it. Our intellectual traditions were organized around it. They had us thinking that slavery was all we could do and all we could be. And it wasn't that America got religion. It wasn't that America had a theophany and saw God on the road to Damascus. It wasn't that God had a moral transformation. It was that America was forced into a new vision because black people saw themselves as something other than enslaved. We imagine our grandchildren, great-grandchildren as free. And because we had the commitment to imagining our babies as free, and because we were willing to fight for a freedom that we might never see, but that our children or our children's children would enjoy, we were able to approach freedom. We got to do that now. We have to embrace the radical imagination. We have to imagine, as the The great historian Robert D.G. Kelly said, freedom dreams. What are your freedom dreams? See, so often our freedom dreams are circumscribed, they're foreclosed upon, they're trimmed down, they're shaved down. We start with a vision of freedom and then we're told to be practical. We ain't got the money for that. America won't go for that. They won't let us do that. They, as black people, code for white people, they won't let us do that. We got a dream bigger than our family. We sit in the chapel and think about the great theologian and Morehouse man, Howard Thurman. In The Growing Edge, he talks about never reducing our aspirations to the level of the events that comprise our immediate experience. He was saying we don't have to be prisoner to an event. Now, he was a Christian. I'm not a Christian. He was a Christian. And for him, the story of the cross was a symbol that the world doesn't have the final word. That God had the final word on matters of life and death. And just for him, as Jesus was in prison to the events of the cross, we don't have to be prisoners to the events of our lives. Now, if you're Muslim or you're secular or you're atheist or whatever, you can still interpret from the story something very important, which is that we don't have to be prisoner of the event. We don't have to be prisoner of the event. What does that mean? It means that when things happen, we have to respond to them, and we have to engage them, and we have to navigate them, and we have to negotiate them, but we don't have to be prisoner to the event. Now, that means something in your individual life when you encounter trauma, when you encounter disappointment, when you encounter harm, but it also means something for us as the collective body politic. We ain't got to be prisoner to an election cycle. We don't have to be prisoner to a presidency. We don't have to be prisoner to a budget. We don't have to be prisoner to a policy. We can imagine something else. So as we hatch our freedom dreams, don't scale down your freedom dreams to the moment. We don't have to just dream about a successful Me Too movement. We can imagine a world without patriarchy and misogyny. We don't have to just dream about warm and fuzzy prisons or police officers who come into our neighborhoods and do line dances with us. We can dream of abolition. We can imagine a world without policing and prisons, a world where we don't ask who did it and how do we punish them, but instead we ask who was harmed and how do we make them whole again. We don't have to dream of two-state solutions. We can dream of a free Palestine. From the river to the sea. But that requires something else that this tradition has taught us. Deep listening. That's right. Listening to the voices that are often unheard. Listening to the voices of the vulnerable. We spend so much time talking in this country. Everybody's always talking and not putting their phones on vibrate. Spend so much time on our Instagrams and our TikToks and our Facebooks. Everybody's a star of their own show. But what does it mean to listen? Listening is an ethical and moral commitment. That I see your humanity, I recognize your humanity, and I think you got something to offer. In this capitalist empire, we often only listen to the voice of people who got money. You go through election cycles where used car salesmen talking about who's going to protect the middle class, who's going to help the middle class, who's going to make sure the rich don't get harmed. Nobody says poor people's names. But our tradition is a different one. The Black freedom struggle has always been about listening to the vulnerable, listening to the least of these. This tradition has always been about amplifying the voices of people who are often silenced. Think about the Black national anthem. Can you imagine when the Johnson Brothers made this song at the end of the 19th century, put it to music a few years later? Slavery just ended in 1865, sort of. Black codes were still prevalent. Slave codes are turning into black codes. We still lived in an apartheid state. Black folk eat at a lunch counter. Black folk couldn't stand outside after dark. My father, born in Wilkes County, Georgia, 1929, his high school class couldn't have their picture taken on a class trip in front of the Washington Monument. Dogs could. At that moment of American apartheid, it would have been entirely reasonable for black folk to make an anthem of freedom, to make an utterance of liberation that was lift black voices. Lift our voices, but no, black folk had a moral achievement that was greater than America could ever reckon with. And they said, even at this moment of unfreedom, we understand that to be fully human for ourselves and not reduce ourselves to the moral depravity of our open enemies, we are not going to lift some voices. We are not going to lift black voices. We are going to lift every voice and sing. Voice. What does that mean in 2025? It means we can't just lift cis voices, we gotta lift trans voices. It means we just can't lift middle class voices, we gotta lift poor people's voices. Not on their behalf, not by proxy, but we got to move the microphone, get out the way, and let the vulnerable speak on behalf of themselves. Gotta do it because it's the moral achievement, but it's not just about morality or ethics. No. There's a political strategy attached to this too. We can't just be locked in the arm singing "We Should Overcome." We got to be locked in the circumstance. We have to recognize that when we listen to each other's voices, we recognize the connectivity of our struggles. I used to work at Fox News on a visiting team. And I remember, it's been about 20 years since I worked there now, my God. And I be putting belt to you know what. I'll be busy over there. Cooking bill around. But over time, I noticed as I would debate throughout the day, they would have the same arguments. Everybody at the debate had the same arguments. They'd all have the same talking points, the same fake statistics. same jokes. And it took me a while, and I realized that they were having a meeting. Every Monday, 11 a.m., on the 5th floor, they were having a meeting. You'll be shocked to know I was not invited to that meeting. They'd send me to the 4th floor. There's bagels there, Mark, you'll love them. In that meeting were right-wing voices. Some were evangelical Christians who wanted the Bible to be a textbook. Some were creationists. They ain't believe in dinosaurs. Some were Second Amendment advocates who just wanted the right to have any kind of gun of any size, of any sort, with no restrictions anywhere and everywhere. Some were free market fundamentalists. They wanted to be able to control the economy with no restrictions. Some were homeschooling advocates. The point is, they all had different interests, and the interests didn't necessarily naturally flow together, but they understood that if they organized together and listened to each other and worked together and voted together, that they could get the outcomes that they wanted. And so part of listening is understanding that as we listen to each other, we can see the possibilities of connecting our interests in such a way that we advance our agenda. Instead of having our firing squad in a circle, let's face it and direct it toward the people who are opposing our interests, because our interests naturally connect a whole lot more than theirs. Some of y'all saying, I want to do educational reform, I ain't got time to think about prisons, but there's a natural connection between these dismantled schools and these erected prisons. There's a connection between poor education and mass incarceration. I hear you on this environmental injustice stuff, but I ain't got time to worry about the environment. I'm black. But if you think there's not a relationship between racism and the environment, turn on your water. And if you think that Flint is, or excuse me, if you think that Jackson is the exception, go to Flint. Go to Cleveland, go to Philly. Look at where power plants are placed. Look at where nuclear waste is dumped. Look at where there's food security and look at where there is food insecurity. The connections are there, but we have to make them there. Don't tell me that Palestine ain't your business. When you're voting for people, and I don't know who you voted for, and I'm telling you, you voted for people who have endorsed the illegal occupation of Palestine, which is the longest military occupation in modern history. Ain't been a president yet that hasn't endorsed it. Or been cowardly in allowing it to happen. We fund it, we arm it, and we protect it. We have a moral responsibility. It ain't a favor to Palestinians to stand up. It's our duty.
That's right.
It's our duty. But we gotta listen. And not just listen when the media tells you to listen. Because the media ain't listening to Congo. The media ain't listening to Sudan. The media ain't listening to Haiti. But it doesn't change the fact that our imperial thumb is being placed on the scale in such a way that we are not only not advancing freedom, but we are enabling and intensifying the oppression around the globe. Listen. That's what it means to be part of this community. But this tradition isn't just about dreaming and listening. It's also about organizing. We gotta organize, family. As I said to the young people earlier, organized people defeat organized power. Every single time. But the question becomes how. The question becomes how. The question becomes how. Well, first, family, to organize, you gotta join an organization. How hard is it to be part of something bigger than yourself? In the age of the selfie, what does it mean to be part of a collective? Well, we're so encouraged to imagine history as a series of individual heroes who came and saved the day, that we lose sight of the fact that these individuals only were successful in community with others, in organizations with others. What am I saying? I'm saying, family, join an organization. I ain't say start one. Organizations need to be built. Voices for a Just World needed to be built. Mississippi Freedom Party needed to be built. Dream Defenders needed to be built. I'm not saying never start nothing, but everybody can't start. So I go to college campuses every day. It'd be 50 black people in 25 organizations. Everybody president and vice president. At some point, that's not about the organization. That's about you. We got to erase the ego. It ain't about you getting a business card. It ain't about you having a line item on your resume. It's about fighting and struggling for freedom. And too often, we do a disservice to ourselves by only highlighting the person that gets all the accolades and the person who stands behind the microphone. I'm going to use a football. You're a Lions fan, so you won't get this, but running backs don't run through lines, they run through holes. There are people in the trenches that do the grinding and who do the fighting and the pushing and the struggling to open up space for one show horse to run through and spike the football. Don't just celebrate the show horse. Y'all hear what I'm saying? Yeah. See, we can't just celebrate the one person who might get their name in the textbook or who the mainstream corporate media decides is our leader. There's never been one person that did that. For every person that's in the textbook, there's 1,000 people who stood in line, who made copies, who cooked food, who got beat by the police, who prayed for somebody, who nailed somebody out of jail, who did the work of freedom, knowing that their name would never get mentioned in the history books, but they knew that our liberation was more important than their reputation. And so they did the work, even though nobody would know. That's what liberation is about. Now, young people, don't let this analysis seduce you into believing that the previous generation didn't get it wrong a whole lot too. They weren't all unified. You go to any black community in America, you're going to find Second Baptist Church. It ain't start that way, it was just Baptist church. Somebody fell out. Somebody didn't get the part in the choir. Somebody said somebody Greens was nasty. Something happened. Second back, something to third back. But the charge of your generation is to make some different mistakes. You're gonna make mistakes. Like I tell my kids, just make some new ones. Make some different ones. To organize is also to make your organizations do and be what they're supposed to be. It's not enough to join the local NAACP. Not if you're from Mississippi. You better be asking what kind of NAACP. Are we joining a 21st century neoliberal, wealth-chasing, Trump-adoring NAACP, or are we talking about a 1909 Ida B. Wells, Barnett, freedom-chasing, lynch-stopping NAACP? It's not enough to be part of the church. What kind of church you trying to be a part of? You talking about Creflo? You talking about prosperity gospel? God meant me to drive a Bentley? Or are we talking about a revolutionary Palestinian Jew named Jesus that overturned the tables, preached good news to the poor, and the friend of the captive? See, a whole bunch of black folk with Greek letters on. Don't get nervous. What is your reason for being there? It's not enough to just join.
That's right.
It's not enough to work hard to get in. Some of y'all focus so much on what y'all did to get in, you don't do nothing once you get in. The legacy of your founders was not to just fight to get in, because some of y'all did a whole lot more than your founders did to get in. I'm talking about the particular road you took. But they took a much heavier road fighting through Jim Crow. They took a much heavier road fighting for achievement and brotherhood and sisterhood against the backdrop of an apartheid American state that didn't want them in school in the first place, much less to build institutions that would last over a century. And also the IOTAs, who started last week. No disrespect, shout out to the IOTAs. I heard some of their founders are in the building. They're graduating this year. But it's not enough to brag about what you did. Can you imagine walking through college bragging about your high school essay the whole time? It's not enough to wear the paraphernalia. It's not enough to stroll and ape walk and shimmy, and shimmy is fine, but it's not enough to do those things if you don't do nothing to honor the tradition once you get in. You walk around talking about you good, and you good for nothing. Who do you want to be? That's the question that every single one of us has to answer in this tradition as the world is set on fire. Who do you want to be? That means that this tradition demands that we tell the truth. You must be a truth teller. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said, speak the truth though it may be bitter. say you don't mess with Trump in a room full of black folk. At least 88% of them. You know how easy it was for us to march against George Bush's bombs in Iraq? But those same people who were outraged against George Bush's bombs said nothing against Obama's Predator drones. Those same people who are mad at Trump for Gaza said nothing when Biden enabled Gaza to be destroyed and dismantled in the very same way that every president, Democrat or Republican, has done. Tradition doesn't call us to be partisan. I'm not saying don't make political decisions, and I'm not saying don't support parties. What I'm saying is that our morality and our ethics and our moral composure isn't dependent upon who's in office. Because if you in Afghanistan or Yemen or Harlem or New Orleans, you don't care if it's a Democrat or a Republican ruling your life. What you need is help. What you need is relief. What you need is someone to speak the truth. So we must speak the truth, though it may be bitter, regardless of who is doing the thing that we're speaking against. That is our call. In this tradition, you see, Dr. King was a hero in 1963. He was Time Magazine's Man of the Year. Then in 1967, when he gave that speech on April 4th, 1967, inside of Riverside Church, why I opposed the war in Vietnam, suddenly people were moving away from him. He had the door to the White House closed on him. He was no longer Time Magazine's Man of the Year. By 68, he didn't make People Magazine's Most Admired Americans list. His whole Baptist convention kicked him out, because sometimes your skinfolk ain't your kinfolk. The Negro preachers kicked him out and said he was too vain. They said he was too interested in newspapers. All in the videos. They said Dr. King wasn't worried about freedom. Morehouse College, his alma mater, wouldn't put him on the board of trustees. They said he was a bad influence on young people because they said he went to jail too much. You see, when you speak up for freedom, things start changing. When you tell the truth, people start backing away from you. Be suspicious of the people that everybody likes. Be suspicious of people that got no enemies. You can't do the work of freedom and not have enemies. So as we speak up, we're going to lose some folk. You may find yourself alone. Malcolm spoke up. Ida spoke up. Fannie Lou spoke up. Angela spoke up. And at different stages of their lives, they found themselves alone. And some of you are doing the work of freedom and you feel alone. You speak out against racial injustice, you get all the support. You start talking about gender injustice, the men disappear. I know you feel alone. Some of you get solidarity for black folk, but when you start talking about LGBTQ, oh, they turn to Hotep Harry. I know you feel alone. Some of you work with good white people, liberal white people. They love black people. Just trying to put one in charge. I know you feel alone. Some of you organize on campus, and 1,000 people come to the step show, and 5 people come to the teach-in. I know you feel alone. But guess what, family? You're in good company. Because every single person, every single movement, every single struggle has never been advanced by the majority. It's always been a small group of people. It's always been a small group of people who have done the work. It's always been a small group of people who made the sacrifice. It's always been a small group of people that stood on that line and opened up the space for our collective touchdown. But when they win, we all win. Yes. So don't worry about it. As the great philosopher Sean Carter said, the homie said, "Hove, it ain't many of us. But less is more. There's plenty of us." God bless you. Free the land, free all political prisoners.
Exhilarating, inspiring. What are we going to do with it? What are we going to do with it? Because we will win. Repeat after me. We will win.
We will win.
Y'all don't, say it like you mean it. We will win.
We will win.
We will win.
We will win.
All right, all right. I'm going to bring to the stage one of my chosen brothers, our former mayor, Chokwe Lumumba, who has been extremely instrumental in bringing Dr. Hill here. I do not think this would have happened had he not continued to encourage me and make the connections. And I want him to come to the stage. I want to give you thanks.
Free the land. Free the land. Free the land. Free the land. By any means necessary. My greetings have changed a little bit since I'm no longer in mayoral office. Let's give it up to not only this brilliant scholar, this activist, this brother who has given us such inspirational words. Give it up to this man of achievement, Dr. Marc Lamont Hill. Give it up to him. In the student lecture earlier today, someone mentioned a quote from Dr. Frantz Fanon, and I remember, when I would share this quote, I would talk about all the things that Dr. Frantz Fanon had done, a psychologist, a revolutionary, an author, and his accolades and his achievements were so plentiful, and that's the same experience I have today, brother, as we talk about all the things that you have accomplished. So again, give him another round of applause. I'm going to be very brief. I learned a long time ago, you stand to be recognized, you sit to be appreciated. So I again want to thank Mississippi for a Just World for putting this together. Please give Mississippi for a Just World. Dr. Hill shared with us that we don't all have to start our own organization. There are some organizations available for us to join, right? And I can see no better organization which is fighting for oppressed people worldwide. Malcolm X often drew the parallel between the Palestinian occupation and the black human rights struggle. So this has been going on for quite some time. And so there's a home for you at Mississippi for a Just World. So I want to encourage you to be a part. Lastly, I want to encourage you that you don't leave here with the sentiment that you just enjoyed an academic exercise, right? That you are a part of an intellectual gathering. I ask that you leave here with a sense of purpose, with a drive to be a part of something bigger than you, as Dr. Hill so eloquently stated. There may be some students that are amongst us. There may be some individuals that are asking the question, all of this mention of Palestine, what does that mean to me? How is that important to my life? Earlier today, Brother Hill and I were talking, and I shared, what my experience was when I was running for office. And I said, based on the organizing background of my parents, I had a propensity to talk to many of the larger things in life, talk about human rights and self-determination and exploitation. And invariably, I was confronted with a brother or sister on that block or on that street and say, yeah, that's good, young brother, but how you gonna fix that pothole in the middle of my street, right? So we're often faced with the material challenges that are in front of us. In fact, Amilcar Cabral once said that people aren't fighting for the ideas in your head, they're fighting for the right to win material benefits to guarantee a future for their children, right? But I think that it's time, if I'm taking that pothole to pothole analogy, it's time that we connect the potholes in Jackson, Mississippi, to the potholes in North Philly, to those that are in Detroit, Michigan, the potholes and the rubble in places like Palestine. And in the process of fixing that pothole, what you ultimately learn is that the pothole was never your problem in the first place. Your problem is that you don't control the decision-making process that leads to a pothole being fixed. The problem is that you don't control the curriculum that educates your children. The problem is that you don't control the economic development that takes place in your community. And so this Palestinian occupation and struggle is one that we can connect to for so many reasons. Is one that we understand based on the limited resources that led people to cry out and struggle and fight long before you heard of someone being kidnapped in Israel.
Yes.
So I encourage you to do your history. I encourage you to get active. I want to thank Tougaloo College for hosting this occasion today. Give Tougaloo a round of applause. And again, for the land, and thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Over the mountains in the valley so deep, there is a land where apples are eaten by black sheep. To get to this place, you will need many skills, brotherhood and sisterhood, plus the strength to build. This journey will be tedious, of this you can be sure. But the only way to reach that great land is if you endure. I, on behalf of our president, Dr. Donzel Lee, who is here present, let's give him a round of applause. I stand representing Tougaloo College today. Past mayor, former mayor, most immediate past mayor, Lumumba, Dr. Marc Lamont Hill, two great men of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated. However, there is a fraternity greater than them. And that fraternity was started a little bit earlier, about 5 years earlier in December of 1906. So I want to thank you all for allowing Tougaloo to host you all today. And in appreciation, I would like to now call the men of Kappa Alpha Psi. You have a presentation you'd like to make? I'll ask that you all come forward, your representative come forward. While they're coming forward, I want also to acknowledge our men of excellence who did a great job today hosting our event. I want to thank all the volunteers from here, all the police officers, all the security, everything was safe, and we want to make this a wholesome environment for everyone. So I want to thank everyone publicly right now for your cooperation and for your assistance in making sure that this event went over as we wanted it to go over. So now, I will now relinquish to one of the men of Kappa Alpha Psi to make the presentation.
Good evening. My name is Alan Teague, and I serve as the Gamma Road Chapter Board. On behalf of the Gamma Road Chapter at Kappa Alpha Psi, we would like to extend our heartfelt gratitude, Brother Hill. for your time, dedication, and continued inspiration worldwide. We truly appreciate you taking the time to visit our campus and sharing your knowledge of exemplifying our fundamental purpose of achievement. As a token of our appreciation, we present this gift in recognition of your leadership and impact.
Let me back up.
All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3. There we go. 1, 2, 3. One more. 1, 2, and 3.
One more.
I can't see yours. There we go. 1, 2, 3. There we go.
We do have another presentation. You can come forward. And I have a special announcement following.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Jeremiah Wilson. I currently serve as the president of the Men of Excellence on campus. We just want to give a certificate of appreciation to Dr. Marc Lamont Hill for taking the time today, and we appreciate his unwavering dedication to our education and local social justice.
Put that mic down. Put that mic down.
Achievement in every field.
Here we go. 1, 2, 3. One more. 2, and 3.
Now, I know you all are already full from the day's journey from our excursion today with Dr. Marc Lamont Hill, but we have a lot more in store here at Tougaloo College this weekend, ladies and gentlemen. If you're not already full, buckle up your seatbelts and get ready, because this weekend we have the convocation coming along with our very own Miss Anjanae Ellis. I heard she was in the house. Anjanae, are you in the house? Oh, she's upstairs? Them lights. Hey, y'all, she's upstairs. I can't see. The lights are blinding me. But we have a packed-filled weekend of activities with her, so go to our website, tougaloo.edu, to find out about those activities, and we encourage you to come take part in those activities. I think that's all I have, so I'm going to remove myself from the stage, but as individuals we bud, together we grow, and apart we die. Let's stay together.
Before everyone leaves, Dr. Hill is having a book signing. We have about 100 copies of his books in the back if you would like to purchase and get it signed as well. We also, and we are partnered with the oldest Black bookstore in the United States. She's in the back. Make sure you give her props. And please, please, please purchase a book and get it signed by Dr. Hill. Okay, so thank you all. Assalamu alaikum.